Welcome to the NICOLE podcast. I'm Lisa Watson and will be joined by my co-hosts NICOLE Frolick and Brian Koenigberg. The NICOLE podcast is a weekly show that provides an unconventional and refreshing spin on spirituality, where three friends and weekly guests share informative, fun, and usually off-the-wall conversations. Unlike others, we provide fringe and skeptical viewpoints on all topics, because our experience has taught us that the echo chamber is a boring place from which to learn. So regardless of where you are in your spiritual journey, we can promise you're going to find a place to fit in here. So we invite you to grab a drink and listen in on our casual, entertaining, and hopefully enlightening conversation. And enLIGHTenUP is a self-funded podcast, so if you would like to help us to continue to be able to produce, enhance, and expand the show for our audience, then please send your support using the link in the show notes, or go to our website, enlightenup.us, and check out our merchandise shop, where you can purchase merchandise that will allow you to express some spiritual humor. You may also show your support by leaving us a review on iTunes and following us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Thank you all so much for listening and supporting us, and now let's jump right into the episode.
Hi everyone, welcome back to enLIGHTenUP. I am NICOLE Frolick and I'm here with my beautiful two co-hosts, Brian and Lisa. And actually, Lisa and I happen to be in the sunny, beautiful Cayman Islands. And we are sitting here with one of my dear friends. He is joining us today for this episode because the synchronicities lined us up and we happened to run into each other very serendipitously. In fact, all of the little synchronicities that happened were quite interesting. I'm not going to go into all the details, but Carlo, welcome to enLIGHTenUP. How are you doing?
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Brian. Very nice to meet you.
Hey, I gotta interrupt for a second because you guys suck. I am not in the Grand Cayman Islands like you made it sound like we were all there having a great time on a sunny beach.
No, I'm pretty sure I just said Lisa and I were in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah, and myself, of course, Brian. Yes, you are there in Denver.
It is snowing in Denver, and you guys have beautiful, beautiful weather.
Yeah, it is. It was rainy today a little bit, but not too much. And then the sun shows up, and I can guarantee you the sky was so blue that you cannot imagine. But it doesn't matter. I mean, it's fine. You are in Denver. We are in the Cayman Islands. It's fine.
I don't hear any laughter on your end. Not funny.
Ouch.
Not funny.
Ouch.
Okay.
All right.
So Carlo and I met a long time ago, probably about
10 years ago.
You think so?
10 years ago, 9 years ago, yes.
Yeah, and you're from Italy originally.
Yes, 110%.
One of my favorite countries. Italy and Bali and Indonesia are my two favorite places in the world.
Lisa, what's your favorite country?
Italy.
Brian?
Not China.
Oh, we all know that, don't we?
All right.
Yeah, and we're drinking rosé right now.
A very good rosé, actually.
And Carlo's going to make us a really nice dinner after we're done this episode. Tell our listeners what you're making.
Just keep rubbing it in.
Okay, in a few words, we will cook together an incredible pasta made with walnuts and Parmigiano that I can guarantee you is something special. In Italy, we used to say, we make love with food, but you will make love with food. Don't be jealous, Brian. Don't worry. Nothing else will happen. Just love with food. And after that, we are going to cook a catch, a piece of fish with olives, capers, and Scotch bonnets, which is a particular spicy pepper that you can find here in the Caribbean. It's amazing, with some salad, simple salad.
Oh, yes. Okay, so I think, Brian, we mentioned to you, Lisa and I went out for dinner on Saturday night, and she tried Scotch bonnet peppers for the first time, and they warned her it was extremely spicy, and she was like, oh, okay, great, and she put a huge dollop on her ceviche and bread, and I looked at her going, I'm not sure you should take that much. She's like, oh no, like it's totally fine. I'm like, no, I don't think you should take that much. And then of course she's like, eyes were watering.
But it wasn't.
Yeah.
You've trained me well. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Well, we have them here in the States, and they are one of the hottest peppers.
Yeah, they are.
Yes.
I think it's just below the habanero, or maybe it's just they're hot. They're damn hot.
They are. It depends from the type, because the orange is not really hot, but the green one is extremely hot. And you need to be careful when you cut it. If you then touch your eyes with your fingers, you're done. For at least an hour, you start crying. It's unbelievable.
And it doesn't just end at the eyes. Don't touch other things.
It does not end at the eyes. It ends on the way out, doesn't it?
Okay. Talking about crime, let's talk about my crime.
I know. You know what? Talking about crime, that's actually a perfect segue into this whole episode. So to the audience, I leave this place for 3 years. I come back and so much has changed. And I ran into Carlo, and Carlo, you were, before I left the island, you were dating a woman, and then you guys got married. So tell us the story, because this, for everyone listening, Carlo and his partner were just the most beautiful couple. They were always so in love. They were so sweet. I've had a couple dinners with you guys here at your home, and just one of those couples who you just knew there was pure love between them, those two. And so I was very shocked to hear when I first ran into Carlo what had happened. So Carlo, please share your story. And the reason why we're sharing the story is because for our audience, there's so much happening right now with the energies that are happening. People are going through some very difficult times, things that happen out of the blue, things you cannot explain. And this is kind of one of those stories. So Carlo, go ahead.
All right. If you allow me, I'd like to tell you an opening story before entering in the real story, what happened to me in the last 18 months. So, and I need to go back in time on January the 3rd, 1978. At that time, I was 8 or something like that. And my dad died in front of me. He died on a table with lots of blood coming out from his head. And this happened because he had a sort of heart attack. It was an aneurysm.
Oh, a brain aneurysm.
Yeah, no, it was not a brain aneurysm. It was an aorta aneurysm. He fell down on the table, and his head hit the mag, and the mag cut his front. So all this blood goes over the table. The table was completely white, and I was shocked. I was 8 years old. I didn't know what to do. It was really difficult for me to stand up. I was basically frozen. And it took me probably 20 minutes or 2 minutes or 20 seconds, I don't know, to stand up, move behind his body, and go to the other side of the house to call my mom. In order to call her and try to do something in the hope to save his life. It never happened. My dad died a few days after that event. And I can guarantee you guys that that type of event changed completely the way you see life in general. Was so deep, so difficult to be passed that I can guarantee you is not something easy. And I said to myself, after these events, nothing can happen to me that's make me so sad or make me cry again in that way. But unfortunately, I was wrong. 10 years ago, when I landed on this island, I met a beautiful lady, and I met Trina. Her name is Trina. She's a Canadian girl with a Caymanian passport. I met her basically 7 days after my arrival on islands. And in that moment, I realized that she was the person for me, my life, my future, my reason to be on these beautiful planets. After 2 weeks, we went out for dinner. After 3 weeks, we kissed each other, and my love for her really just exploded. we decided to move together under the same roof after a few months. She had a son, and she still have a son, and we decided to bring that son that became part of my life under the same roof, under the same house. We lived what's I can describe like the most beautiful period of my life. 9 beautiful years, enjoying every single moment. And I can guarantee you, I'm 50 today. I turned 50 in February, and I never loved a person like I loved Trina in the last 10 years. Long story short, we go back in time now to December 14th, or better, December the 10th, 2017. We just came back from a beautiful 2 or 3 weeks holiday in Italy, in the beautiful Italy, after we married 4 months before. We married in Niagara-on-the-Lake, Canada, Ontario, on August the 10th, 2017. So we came back, we landed in Miami, we check in this beautiful hotel, we make love, as we used to do basically every single day. We will love so much each other. I can guarantee you that I was not tired to make love with my wife or with my partner. Any day was a beautiful day, and every single time was better than the day before. But anyhow, we spent a couple of days in Miami. She flew back on a Sunday back to Cayman, and I stayed in Miami. I was working during that time. I had a client. We had a client. We were working together. We had a client in Miami, and I spent as the last probably 6 months before 4 days in Miami every week. And so every morning I was in Miami, she was here in Cayman. We had our breakfast over the phone, over FaceTime, outside the porch. Lisa and you guys can see the porch in the back. Brian, you can't, but it's a lovely view.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. We had breakfast every single morning over FaceTime. She was showing me my chair that was empty because my stepson was in bed at that time. We had breakfast together. Then I was moving to the office, and she was starting her life in Cayman. And this was happening on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday. Wednesday morning, I received a beautiful email, something that's a man desire, wish to receive every single day from the person he loves very much. And this email was saying, was a PowerPoint. The first slide of the PowerPoint was saying, Trina loves Carlo, with this beautiful orange heart. She knew that orange was and still my favorite color, and she wants to make a beautiful home. And underneath, I don't recall exactly, 10, 12 pages of improvement, ideas that she wants to bring to the house in order to make this more beautiful home for us. And I was so excited, so happy to receive a document like that. I can guarantee you guys, it's something unique. And I immediately called Trina. She picked up the phone, and I said to Trina, wow, this is unbelievable. I love you more than I was loving you 3 hours ago, and I'm happy that you brought these things to the table. Let's try to put together a budget, and let's try to figure out how to do it. And in the next 12 to 24 months, we can do those changes, those improvements. That's you presented to me, and in order to really have a better home. And she was really excited. She was super excited. Just to tell you, before arriving to the night, something happened that night. But before arriving to that point, I want just to tell you who was Trina. NICOLE met Trina. Trina was, and I'm sorry, I need to use the past tense because Trina is no longer here in a certain way, at least not spiritually, probably physically, but not spiritually. Trina was an incredible soul, full of joy, full of passion, an incredible creative human being that disappeared in a few hours. That night was Wednesday night. I can't forget this night. That night, she called me. She was out with friends. She was probably had too much wine because I heard from her voice that she was her voice was a little bit alterated. Is the right term? Or
she was tipsy.
Yeah, she was tipsy. Good. I learned a new term. She was tipsy, and I was out for dinner with our clients in Miami. And I said to her, if I can, I will call you later. Otherwise, we can talk in the morning. Same type of morning. Thursday morning, FaceTime, breakfast, over the internet. And I did it. That morning, on Thursday morning, I called my wife again. But unfortunately, on the other line, there was no response, no reply, no one picked up the phone, no one picked up that call. And I called, and I called, and I called, and I called for probably 30 different times. And at that point, I was scared. And I called my stepson, no reply. I called Trina's stepmom, who lives here on island, no response. I called two of the best friends of Trina here on island. They told me we don't know where Trina is. I called another person, another good friend of Trina, and she said to me, I have no clue where Trina is. Finally, I decided to call another person. Nobody picked up the phone. So imagine at noon, I was really scared. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I didn't know what to do. So I took my Uber and I went back I moved to the airport, and I was supposed to fly back that day. So I landed on island at 8:30, something like that, night time. And there was a person picking me up at the airport. And that person was not Trina, it was a friend of us that said to me, Trina had a breakdown. Devastating breakdown. That was the words that she used. So she brought me back home, and I took my car and I started searching for Trina, basically for 3 or 4 hours. And I found my wife in a house of a friend of us. She opened the door. I knocked that door about, probably was 12:30 in the morning or something like that. So 12:30 is right? Or 1 o'clock, something like that. She opened the door. I didn't recognize my wife. She was white. She's white, actually. She's not black, but she was whiter than normal. I didn't recognize her. And she just said to me, I don't want to talk to you. I needed my space. I will talk to you tomorrow or the day after. And she closed the door in a very bad way. And at that moment, I understood that something happened, but I didn't know what happened. The day after was a nightmare, as you probably can imagine. And this was Friday, because I came back on Thursday. On Friday night, I got a message from Trina, and she was asking me to meet her in front of our house. There is a beautiful beach called Spot Beach. It's a place where We spent so many times together. We make love on the pier. We drink wine. We had fun with friends. It's a lovely, lovely spot for us. And it's a beautiful place that I will remember for the rest of my life. Anyhow, she arrived with a particular T-shirt. And the T-shirt that she was wearing that morning was saying, be yourself. I don't understand why she decided to wear that T-shirt, but in a few words, without saying anything, she said to me, I need a break. I want to be free in my adult age. Wow. She was 39 at the time, actually 38. I'm sorry, she turned 39 in 2018. And this was happening out of the blue, like a thunderstorm out of the blue, and in a sunny day. It was fully unexpected. It's like a rock. No, a rock is not the right term. It's like a meteor entering the atmosphere and eats the earth like an atomic bomb. That morning, I felt the same pain I felt in the moment I lost my dad on that table, on that morning, long time ago in 1978. But anyhow, after that moment, I can just remember how many times, actually I don't remember because I lost the counts, how many times I cry every day, every afternoon, every night. I didn't sleep. I went to one of my best friends on island, which is a lovely lady, a lovely girl, and I cried like a baby. And then she said to me, you need to go, leave this island for a while. And I decided to take a plane and I moved and I went to Dublin to visit one of my best friends that probably, Nicole, you remember, Victor Corcoran. He was here for a long time on Ireland and we became very close friends. So I've been there, and for me it was living in a twilight zone, honestly. I was in the hell, but at the same time I was in a certain paradise with him and his family. They were taking care of me. It was really a difficult situation, black and white at the same time. Sometimes I didn't really understand what I was thinking or what's really happened to me. But anyhow, let's move to the 2018. So I came back from Dublin and I decided to take time for myself because I started thinking that maybe I did something wrong. Honestly, it happened. If you want to improve, you need to realize that maybe you made some mistakes. So I decided to, and I didn't tell you the story the other night, I decided to go walking for 1,000 kilometers, which is a lot, in Florida. So I decided to do basically from Tampa to New Orleans, walking. I mean,
that is an interesting part of the story that you left out Friday night.
Yes. I didn't say this story because now we arrive to the spiritual part of the story, which is really funny, but it's interesting. You understand why every single dot then is connected somehow. Anyhow, I didn't do 1,000 kilometers. I did 379 kilometers in total because it was the year where in Florida starts snowing, and I was not prepared to sleep completely unprepared under the sky with the snow coming down. It was really cold. So I did 379 kilometers. And one day I did something like 42 kilometers in a row. And I met some fantastic, how do you call a big bird like that? Crane, beautiful cranes. They have a particular name down there in Florida. Now I don't recall exactly the
Brian
name.
might know.
Sorry?
I said Brian might know.
Brian, maybe you know the name of this beautiful crane.
What color was it?
It was gray and red.
Gray and red?
Yeah. But I can tell you, I have the name somewhere. I will let the ladies in front of me know the name later on. But anyhow, there were 6 cranes close to a small lake on this beautiful trail that I was walking by myself, only by myself. And I was a little bit scared because everybody told me, oh, you know, Carlo, that's all this area is full of bears. Bears in Florida. Actually, there are bears. I saw 2 small bears.
Oh yeah, there's lots of bears in Florida.
There are. I mean, I didn't know that.
Bears and jaguars and snakes and crocodiles. It's a terrible place. Terrible place.
So I'm just looking up the spiritual meaning of crane because this is what you're supposed to do when you have something this significant cross your path, like an animal. Yeah. Okay. Pause.
No, go ahead. I'll get it.
Go ahead.
I'll get it.
So we're just doing a top up of wine here, Brian.
Oh, well, back to the crane. Two cranes come to my mind. A red-crowned crane, which is the one, I think those are more common in China, and the sandhill crane.
It's the sandhill crane. Bravo.
Mm.
Is that one?
Yeah. Okay. We're just doing a little wine top up.
But
okay, wait. Let me just, because I want you to hear this and the audience to hear this. For spiritual.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is the spiritual meaning. And for our audience, I think a lot of you know this, but when certain animals or insects start to appear to you, especially in a moment of this nature, it's important to see the meaning behind it. And so the crane is a symbol of justice and longevity. It aids us to maintain personal understanding between others. These qualities will help us to examine our close relationships, whether to great longer bond with them or break finally. Our relationship will take 2 or 3 years to get fully matured. In Asian mythology, crane is sometimes called a heavenly messenger who can travel to the heaven. In China, it is believed that the cranes flew with the god to the legendary home of the 8 immortals known as the Isle of Immortals. Cranes are regarded as a messenger of the god, and the magic potions crane's eggs were used to bless its drinkers with the gift of eternal life. In Egypt, ancient legends said that a crane with 2 heads, when seen flying over the river Nile, meant that the prosperous times are about to start. Interesting. I'm just kind of like scrolling through here. But I just find it very interesting. Okay, people with crane totem have a sense of secrecy and protectiveness. Crane reflects the importance of focusing on very important one rather than another one. Crane teaches us how to celebrate our creative resource. And justice, feminine energies, and longevity give proper focus. Oh, crane shows up as a spirit guide when you need to have change in your life.
No.
You need to understand astral traveling. We'll talk about that later. You need to have new knowledge. You need a long life. You need wisdom. And then, let's see here. Call on crane as a spirit guide when you need to use your voice uniquely and you need to be independent. You need to seek help others in their paths. Interesting. Okay, just wanted to put that in there because, you know, this is important, I think.
all right. No, it's really good. Thank you, Nicole. Because now we go to the interesting part that you didn't listen the other nights. And by the way, thank you for inviting me today. It's important. It's unique. It's something special. So thank you to these 2 ladies, and thank you, Brian. We don't know each other yet, but I'm quite sure we'll find a way to meet each other very soon. Anyhow, 6 cranes close to a lake. They were eating grass. I was looking at them, and I was really freaking, sorry my French, tired. And one of those cranes started moving close to me. The other 5, they were completely focused on what they were doing. And I sit down, and the crane was moving closer and closer. And I thought, now, she's going to bite me or something. I mean, and not that I'm scared about a big bird, but I can guarantee it was big. It's not small. When you are sit on the ground and you see this, probably was a meter high, it's big. So it stopped, but probably a meter in front of me, and she started to talk. She started to talk to me with the same voice of my dad. That's why I wanted to start.
How did this not come out in the conversation? Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I mean, it's not something that I say to everybody. I mean, just because you guys...
Why not? I can't imagine why you wouldn't share the story with everyone.
No, I share the story.
I have to ask this question because it's my duty.
Yeah.
How many drugs were you taking?
And he's correct. It's a good question. Very good question, Brian. You don't know, but I'm a mathematician. So for me, 1 + 1 is always freaking 2. So when I saw these things happening to me, without any drugs in my blood, I really doubt that this was really happening. So I touched myself. Not in that sense. I mean,
you pinched yourself.
I pinched myself.
It must have been very, very beautiful for him.
It was a very good emotion. But anyway, and I have to apologize to the audience. I mean, this is my accent, this is my broken English, so you need to accept it. I have the beautiful Nicole close to me that will inject some beautiful words if you need to really understand what's the meaning of my sentence. Anyhow, going back to the story, these beautiful crane start talking to me with the voice of my dad's. And believe me, Brian, was shocking.
Oh, I can't imagine.
And I was tired, fully tired, because after 40 plus kilometers walking, you are really freaking tired. And I thought, maybe I'm dreaming, maybe I'm not. So I pinched myself. And the bird said to me, you need to let me go. And I didn't realize immediately what's really meant by that. But then I realized it was my dad saying to me, it's the time that you let me go. Because probably I never... Lisa is doing some...
Lisa's speaking light language. She's signing right now, everyone. Just so the audience knows what's going on. Carlo doesn't understand what Lisa's doing. That's why he's... No, so she's... Okay, so light language. Lisa speaks light language. Yeah. And right now she's signing it because she doesn't want to interrupt you speaking.
Okay.
It doesn't happen that often, but they apparently really have something to say and don't want to interrupt. So go ahead.
All right. So this happened to me... And was not a very long conversation because probably I replied the first time, who are you? Or said something. I don't really know exactly what I said. But then I realized that, the voice was the voice of my dad, honestly, was, and although I don't believe in these things, I can guarantee you I wasn't believe until that moment. I needed to really to rethink my entire life in few minutes. And I said to myself, something strange, or maybe something normal that we are unable to see, unable to perceive, is happening to me in this precise moment. So I just decided, and I have goosebumps in this moment, to accept that moment in full. And yes, I suffer so much the loss of my dad that I never had probably the opportunity to did his funeral properly. So the day after that particular event, I slept like a baby that night. I can guarantee you that, but probably because my body was completely wrecked after 40 kilometers. So the day after, I decided not to walk. I went back to the same spots. I took a few lifts. I give fire to the dry lifts, right? Yes.
Oh, leaves.
Leaves. Sorry.
Oh, like you went to a Lyft driver?
No.
What?
And I did this sort of funeral that helped me in a certain way to release something that happened to me in the past, but at the same time, understanding a little bit better what was happening to me in that moment. And the answer was in front of me. I wasn't able really to understand what was happening, but I understand that the only way to move on was to accept something that was happening to you, although you are unable to understand. And when I said to you, Brian, I love mathematics, I love physics. For me, 1 + 1 is always 2, but in that moment, I can guarantee you, if you were saying to me that 1 + 1 was 3 or 4 or 10, it was fine to me, because in that moment you realize that something in your life happened, something unique, something different, something that we cannot understand. I personally, I didn't understand, and I cannot say in full, I didn't understand, and I still not understanding what happened to my wife. Right. Anyhow, now I move faster to the end of the story because otherwise it's become too boring probably. But anyhow,
hang on. There's talking birds. There's talking birds in the story. It's not boring.
It's not boring.
Very good. I like that. Anyhow, I came back from my spiritual journey that starts as a physical journey in order to clean my mind, but in reality something happened, so it became really spiritual. I came back, I saw my wife, we had a function together for work, so I was obliged to see my wife, and I started realizing my wife was no longer my wife. My wife was completely different. She was looking different. She was talking in a different way. She was moving in a different way. She was not anymore sexy like before. She was not elegant like before. She was dirty. She was, I don't know, she was really strange. She was something that I didn't never ever met before, honestly. She was another soul in the same body, probably, yes, although the body was a little bit different, but the personality, the spirit was something completely different.
Can I just interject, because I had no idea any of this was going on, but I remember seeing some photos in, and just to apologize to our audience if you hear any scratching in the background, we just have 2 beautiful dogs who really want to be part of this conversation. They're trying to get in the house. But I remember seeing some photos on Instagram or Facebook, I can't remember which, and I just remember thinking, wow, Trina seems really different, you know, and it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I just felt a very different energy just through the photos alone. I could tell something was going on. I didn't know though, I don't want to say that it was wrong or bad or anything like that. I don't want to judge it, but I could tell just from the photos.
This is a tale of Bodysnatchers.
Well, Lisa, you thought there was a walk-in, right?
My first instinct when I heard the story was that there was a walk-in situation.
Yeah.
That someone came and, you know, maybe it was a contract they had to share this body, and it was time, and Trina left and somebody else came in. But as you were telling your story about the crane speaking to, which you did not share with us the other night, and the light language came out in my hands, something came to me, which is that your love with Trina and the 10 years that you spent together in this intense, romantic, passionate, loving relationship and partnership that you had was so that you could experience that again and you could let your dad go. It was a gift to you, what she did for you. That's what I got through my light language, that she did that for you.
All right.
Not on a 3D level, like on a spiritual level.
Fine. I can hear you. I don't understand what you are saying, Lisa. Believe me, I can understand the Einstein relativity theory better than what you just said right now.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yes, welcome to the podcast. You're right. But anyhow, long story short, the next 6-7 months were a roller coaster, up and down, up and down. She was in, she was out. She was sleeping in another room. She was not here. She was spending 10 days out of the house and then coming back. And in the meantime, I was here taking care of her son, which was also my son in a certain way. In May, she asked me, I want to go to Bali. You were mentioned Bali. She spent a month in Bali. Basically, probably we talked a couple of times. She was in Bali just because she was talking to her son. And her son was saying to me, hey, Carlo, mommy's over the phone. Do you want to say hi? Of course I want to say hi. She came back in June. She wanted to go to Canada. She went to Canada. Her mom, unfortunately, for the second time, went through a chemotherapy, and so it was not really nice. But anyhow, she went to Canada. Then I received a call in July from my previous wife, not previous in the sense of previous Trina, and she said to me, why you don't come up in Canada? So I spent a month in Canada. We had a beautiful month together. This was happening.
You and Trina.
Trina and I, yes. In August 2018, we spent a beautiful month. I landed there on August the 2nd. I left September the 3rd. Beautiful month. We make love. We celebrate our wedding. We went to Montreal. We went to Quebec City. We spent 10 days in the middle of the forest, loving each other. And I said, fuck. Sorry, my French. Sorry.
It's okay. We welcome that here.
All right. So I said, fuck. So if you're welcome.
If you want to say it a third time, go ahead.
Yes.
I'll go ahead and say fuck too, so you feel good.
Yeah, good, fine. Thank you. I thought maybe something happening. Maybe she came back. Maybe she gave me an hope, and I started seeing lights down the tunnel. And I can guarantee you, I saw that light. So she brought me to the airports, Ottawa airports, on September the 3rd. She hugged me, she kissed me, and she said to me, I will see you in 2 weeks. She was supposed to fly down 2 weeks after me. I never saw my wife again until October. She disappeared for basically a month, 3 weeks. I didn't know where she was. She never landed on these islands as we said, we agreed. I discovered afterwards she was in Montana. She called me actually, saying to me, I'm sorry, but I needed to find myself. So she was in the middle of nowhere in Montana, in the United States. Probably in a beautiful place because she sent me a couple of pictures. But more than that, I didn't know where my wife was. And even her stepmom, she didn't know where my wife was. So she came back one day, it was a Sunday, out of the blue. I saw a car coming to the gates. She opened the gates, and I understood because I saw her and she was not the person that I met, the person that I loved, and I knew before she starts opening her mouth that was over, at least on her side, not on my side. She entered the house, she sit down on the floor, entering there, exactly where we are right now. And she said to me in a few actually in 3 words, or 2, if you contract the subject and the verb, it's over. It is over 3 words, or it's over 2 words. It's over. I want the divorce, and I can guarantee you that a knife entered my heart in December 2017. I saw the lights in August, and a second knife entered my back in October 2018. And at that point, believe me, Brian, I was not smoking anything. I was not. I start crying again, and I said to myself, "Give yourself a fucking reason, because otherwise you're going crazy." And I gave myself a reason. Today, I don't know why all this shit happened. I have no clue. I believe that night, that Wednesday night, she did something that probably she regrets. She did something not against us, but probably against herself. Or she did something that opened the door of who exactly she meant to be. And the story is over. It's done. It's finished. She's no longer my partner in life. She's no longer my partner in business. We're going to sell this beautiful house where we are broadcasting right now. I'm sad, but at the same time, I have to tell you, these 18 months, because I'm still counting all these months, these 18 months gave me something really bad. Yes, on one side, but good on the other side, because I learned how to manage pain. I learned how to be pragmatic, more, I don't know, it's difficult to say, but I learned how to give a reason to something that probably doesn't have a reason. And that's my story. I hope, guys, you take it as it is, because it's strange and beautiful at the same time. It's sad and funny at the same time. I truly believe that Trina gave me something at the end of all these long period together. She gave me the 10 most beautiful year of my life, without these 18 months, of course, but at least she gave me something special. Trina is no longer here. Trina is dead. She will remain in my heart forever.
Okay, well, she's not physically dead, but in the way that you know her, of who she is, she's no longer here.
Exactly.
So this is a very, this whole story is, it takes me by surprise, because I know Trina. I know Trina, and I know you two together. I should say I know you two together. And, of course, Trina's not here to share her side, and I don't want to disrespect her in any way. But this is something, it's a very difficult process, and I think this is something that we're going to see more and more happening, where people are going through things in their life they just cannot explain. Something completely shifts and takes a 180, goes in the opposite direction, and there is no reasonable explanation for it. How do you deal with it in your life?
Yeah.
How do you deal with it? And this is something that I feel like you were talking today, like the masks are coming off. You can't avoid your own truth. Whatever that truth is, whatever that truth is, it doesn't take away from anything that Carlo and Trina had together, because it was absolutely beautiful. I was here, I witnessed it, I love them, the two together. They're beautiful, the beautiful couple. But, as a soul, when you come into this life and you choose your journey, the lessons that you choose to live and how you choose to live them, and your soul agreements that you have with everyone that you come into contact with, we don't always understand here in this present now moment. It doesn't make sense, because at the human level, it's very hard when you have the ego involved and everything else. It's very hard to understand the why. But it can happen. And I know this is something that we know this year is all about unmasking. We've had Jessica on and a lot of other people on who have talked about 2019 being the year of unmasking.
Right. You can't hide your truth, whatever that is. And I mean, I really think this is more of a walk-in story. It's really so crazy. I mean, because clearly you had a beautiful relationship. But on Friday, after you told us the story, I had a dream. And I never have met Trina nor Carlo before coming here this week. But I had a dream that I was sitting in the backseat of a car and Trina was with me. And she was leaning on my shoulder and she was really sad. And she said to me that she just can't even explain what it was like for her. That this bubbling sort of came up in her, like this, every doubt, everything that she ever wanted or that was different than what she was doing, she said everything just bubbled up at the same time, and it was just so overwhelming. It was like it just popped, and it was like she didn't have a choice. She just like the roof blew off of her, and she changed, and that was my dream.
Listen, Lisa, I have to tell you, someone said to me, why you don't hate Trina? I can't. Because I love her too much. It's a feeling that I don't have. I learned from the experience of the crane that you need to let something go if you really love that particular part. So I love very much my dad, although unfortunately I didn't spend too much time with him, but I was really attached to him until that moment. So maybe you're right. Maybe Trina came to my life to let me realize these points. And I let Trina go. Nicole said Trina is not physically dead. Yes, she's not. She's still alive. But she's dead in my heart. She's gone. Completely gone. Fine. Finish. A poet in Italy used to say, do not cry because a love is finished. Smile because it happened.
I love Italians. I swear. Amore with food, amore with people, amore with family. It's just beautiful. Brian, what's your take on all this? Because this is the first time you're hearing the story, period. I mean, aside from us hearing the crane story for the first time.
Well, I think my sense was the same as Lisa's and probably yours, based on my experience on the podcast, that it sounds like she had what you called a walk-in. That's what why I said Bodysnatchers. Just the way that Carlo described how when he saw her is like it wasn't her. It just, everything about that seems like a different entity took control. And I think when you guys are having dinner tonight, you're going to have to catch him up on some of the crazy that we talk about here. And, share your story from Florida when, they tried to body snatch you. Yeah. And just help him understand that might be a thing. And Carlo, I'm right there, with you. It's when you're a scientific mind, it's hard to understand somebody saying, what do you mean somebody came in and took over, and, understanding contracts and, soul contracts and all, all that kind of stuff is, it's largely unbelievable still to me, but it's at least an explanation.
Yeah, because there is no other explanation.
There
is no other explanation.
There is another one. There is another one.
Okay, go ahead.
And I love what you said. You called it walking. Okay.
Yes.
Walk-in.
Walking.
But it's walking.
Walking, because Italian, they use the G at the end of...
Okay, I just had a thing. The fact that you took a spiritual voyage of walking.
Yeah.
1,000 kilometers. I'm just saying that just came right now. That's a bit interesting.
Okay, what's your other take on it?
Is that actually maybe the person that I met was not Trina, was someone else that came back and became the person that was before. So it was not transformation from A to B, but was the transformation from B to A, back to A. So you know what I mean?
Right. Same idea, different side of the coin.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same idea, but look a different perspective, as the great Albert Einstein used to say.
Absolutely. No, that can absolutely be the case, because that could happen. And, it sounds like they were braided because there are such things called as braided walk-ins, where you still have two people together at the same time, because the fact that you saw her in that month of August when you were back in Canada, and it was like she was back. You had hope. You were like, wow, like this can work. And you had that experience with her. So I feel like if this was a walk-in experience, then they were braided, but then it became unbraided. And I feel that at this point, whoever the other soul is that is here in her body is either more powerful or is meant to take on this physical body at this time and lead the rest of the life. And Trina, as you know her, has exited this realm, and she was here to give you 10 beautiful years.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And she's probably, really legitimately confused right now. Because she probably doesn't know what the hell's going on with her, and that's why the trips to Montana and to Bali and all those things. She's trying to figure out what the hell.
Lisa, you are spot on, because she said to me many times, I don't know what happened to me. I don't know what I want. I don't know who I am. So she said these things to me many times in the past 18 months.
I don't see how I appreciate that you're not angry with her, but I don't see how a person could be. I mean, because it's clearly
we are men. We are.
No, I can totally. Okay, I can absolutely see why someone would be. It's just Carlo is a different. He's coming in with absolute pure love, and you don't see that kind of pure love a lot in relationships. Carlo, the love that you have and you express today, you don't see that expressed either from the female side or the male side. It's an exception. It's not the rule. You know what I'm saying? And so I can absolutely see why someone would be mad from the perspective of we have egos, and the ego often steps in and takes over. And, we speak from a place of trauma at oftentimes when this happens. And so in my eyes, I feel like you absolutely have taken the higher road in all of this, and you are definitely the exception, not the rule in this case. And I actually think that's quite inspiring. It's very inspiring, and I'm very honored that you shared your story with us today and with our audience, because things like this are happening. I mean, I just ran into another friend yesterday, and I said, "Oh, what's new with you?" He's like, "Oh, I got a divorce," and I'm like, "What?" And I knew his whole family.
It's a man or a girl?
It's a man.
Oh no, it's not for me.
No, it's not for you. But it's just there's stuff is breaking down, but only it's breaking down because there's new things that need to be built in different ways. It doesn't mean that what was there was wrong. It's just, in a way, it's expired.
Sorry, may I ask you something?
Of course.
Do you know the divorce woman?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so meaning she's single now.
He's ready to date.
Sorry, Brian. I need to find the funny part. So
Nicole is single.
Out of this, Nicole is single, but Nicole is.
She loves Italian.
Yeah, she loves Italian. I know, but she doesn't love me. So it's not.
We're good friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, give love a chance, Nicole.
Maybe. Did you hear that? Yeah.
Give love a chance.
Give love a chance. I just love that saying.
So, Lisa, don't be jealous, of course. If I bring her out for a dinner.
What are you talking about? It's Brian who needs to be jealous.
You mean if you take my girlfriend and I?
Yes. That was my man. So you stay home and she comes with me for dinner.
No problem.
But anyhow, guys, I want to thank you very much. Brian, I really like the idea to meet you in person. I truly believe you and I are the rational part of all this conversation. Although I have to tell you that after my experience, 1 + 1 is not 2. Always 2 at least.
Yeah. No, 1 + 1 is actually 3 when you talk about quantum physics.
Yeah, I'll
I know that's a very difficult thing for you to wrap your head around.
Yes.
But Brian, we're going to talk after the show because I think Carlo and you have some things to talk about.
Yeah.
And I might be going to Paris for your 50th.
Oh, yes. You can go because your brother
is getting married.
He told me he's going to be married the same day. I'm going to have my 50th birthday party in Paris. Not that I'm about the entire audience right now. It's become difficult. And then my bank account goes to 0. And mine is probably something, not 0.
Well, Nicole, you're lucky because there's an airfare sale going to Paris.
There is?
Yeah.
Ooh.
There has been since last October, and it ends in June, actually. So you've got good timing.
Ooh, I'm going to have to book.
It depends. Maybe it should become my date. And I pay the ticket for her. Who knows, Brian? I mean, I don't have the crystal ball, but let's see what happens.
Give love a chance.
All right. We've clearly had enough rosé on this show.
Yeah.
So, Carlo, thank you so much for being on the show. Brian, do you have anything you want to add before we close off? Is there anything you wanted to say or share?
No, you guys have fun.
Aw. For our audience, Carlo is an amazing cook. Every time I've come over, you've always cooked a fantastic meal. You're going to cook a fabulous fish. And I love pasta. Lisa and I actually just realized on my birthday that we both ate at the same restaurant in Florence, Italy, BBQ's, which does not sound Italian at all.
No, at all.
Not at all. But it is one of the best restaurants I've ever been to in Italy. And I've been to Italy quite a few times in quite a few places. And we actually sat at the same table. Oh my gosh. Okay. Definitely too much wine. All right, everyone.
Brian, I need to close the conversation here because otherwise I don't know where we're going.
Yeah, well, I'm looking out the window at snow on May 20th. So
amazing.
You guys go and enjoy island life.
And to our audience, we want you to know that you know what? Write into us if you guys have had an experience you just can't explain. It makes no sense. There's nothing reasonable or rational to explain what you're going through, or perhaps you know someone who's gone through something like this, because we feel like these things are starting to happen more often. And we wanted to share this story. Well, one, it's a very beautiful and at the same time sad story. It's a very dualistic story. Like, you've got the positive. It's very yin-yang mixed. You got the black, the white, the good and the positive, fully at the same way.
Made for TV.
Made for
TV or a podcast. Who knows? But we wanted to share that with you guys because we think that this stuff is going to start happening more and more as things break down, as the matrix, as we talk about on the show, breaks down, and the system as we know it can't continue on the way it has. And so that means that the way we experience this hologram changes. And so that was one of the reasons why I want to share it as well. It's just an incredible story. And thanks for the crane, the crane edition, because that was phenomenal. We're going to talk about that over dinner. Yeah. But to our audience, send us in some stories if you have that. We'd love to hear from you. Maybe we can share them on the podcast if you agree to that. And thanks again for joining us this week. We will be back with you next time. Everyone, we love you so much. Have a wonderful week. And Lisa and I are signing off from the sunny Cayman Islands as we get our tan on.
Bye, guys. Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all for joining our show. We appreciate you tuning in and supporting us. If any of you have any questions you would like answered on the show or any guests that you would like to hear on our show, please email that information to us at info@enlightenup.us or send us a voice message using the Anchor app. There's a super cool feature on there that allows you to send us a message or ask us a question with a touch of a button right from the app. And please continue to support us by following us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And if you haven't checked out Nicole's channel on YouTube yet, head on over there for some more insight from her, or you can visit her website, inflexibleme.com, where you can book a personal coaching session or a tarot reading, watch some of her most informative videos, or you can sign up for her newsletter. And if you're interested in some light language healing, head to my YouTube channel, Lisa Loves Love, or send me an email to lisa@lisaloveslove.com to inquire about your own personal reading. Thank you again for joining us and supporting us, and we'll be back with you all next week.